Hello and welcome to Kim Explains. It's my hope that you are okay, I'm okay, and I'm still doing well. My name is Wilson Kimani, and today I want us to look into an issue about Raila Odinga because today's newspaper, all the newspaper read that Raila Odinga explained why he accepted Ruto's win for the 2022 general election. Remember, this is the only election that we have not witnessed violence. And the reason behind that is that Raila Odinga has said that he accepted the defeat because he feared the ICC. Is it true that Raila Odinga really feared the ICC? Or is it just a long con that has been extended to his acceptance by the former president Uhuru Kenyatta? I don't know your judgment, but by the end of this video, I hope you will have landed to a good conclusion on whether it was a deliberate acceptance or it was a forced acceptance or in other words, it was a tricky acceptance for defeat. But before we go on, I'd kindly urge you to subscribe to Kim Explains. Hit that like button and probably leave a comment on how you feel about Raila Odinga's acceptance speech. According to Raila Odinga, I will use the Saturday Nation that read, na headline inasema kwamba Raila alisema ICC made me accept Ruto win. and the small explanation there inasema the small abstract, aware that strong denunciation of the electoral outcome would have triggered violent protests, Mr. Odinga, for the first time since announcement of results of the disputed August elections, explains why he decided to remain calm even as he stared at the fifth presidential electoral defeat. Any wrong move could have plunged the country into chaos. Now, this is the small understanding, and by that you should have already known the details of the fine content in those newspapers. And my question was it just deliberate, or is it that Raila Odinga was for long tricked to head in a direction where any results of the election in 2022, he would not have a way? And if he had to protest the election, there were people very close to his heart and close to him that would advise him not to do that. And I want to look at it in a manner that proves what Babu Owino once said, that President Uhuru Kenyatta's spirit did not want Raila Odinga's presidency. It was only a long con to fulfill the Yangu Kumi Yako Kumi agreement between him and the then Deputy President, William Samoei Ruto. Number one, I would say that President Uhuru Kenyatta played so safe that not Raila Odinga and not anyone close to him would realize the con and the betrayal that would then surprise them in the future. Number one, President Uhuru Kenyatta knew that he wanted a legacy, and that legacy, number one, was a peaceful transition. And so, having been a person of the caliber and the status of a president, he had all the intelligence on who would cause violence and why violence could happen. And in this election, from the history of Kenya, we all know that the biggest disputes have been between two tribes, the Kikuyus and the Kalenjins. And that tells me that he knew that the Yangu Kumi and the Yako Kumi promise between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin community inside Uhuru and Ruto agreement would have caused violence if William Ruto did not clinch into power. There is no way and there is no time Luos have ever fought with Kalenjins. There is no time the Luos have ever fought with the Kikuyus. The fight is between Kikuyus and the Kalenjins. And so President Uhuru must have been so smart to make it that the next election after his rule after the end of his 2 terms was won by at least a Kalenjin. And that is specifically why the president was trying to mold Gideon Moi, and then it flopped. It turned out that William Ruto was so strong in the Kalenjin community. Now, far from that, I want us to get to how Raila was confused and how powerful individuals were put around Raila Odinga who would make him accept the verdict of the people or accept the results, however it was in 2022, knowing that the highest possibility was that Raila Odinga was going to win. Raila Odinga was going to lose. Now look at the people around him. Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua. Now, if you remember the time in which the Azimio was being molded or it was created, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, Kalonzo would keep on saying that I don't want to speak to Raila Odinga directly. I want President Uhuru Kenyatta to take the chairmanship and lead this connection between me and the then de facto deputy president Raila Odinga into making of this coalition between the Azimio la Umoja and the Okoa Kenya Alliance. By then, Okoa Kenya Alliance had Kalonzo Musyoka, we had Martha Karua, and we had Gideon Moi, and we had Jirongo. What happened? The only Kalenjin, the only powerful Kalenjin that was in that coalition, Gideon Moi, was silenced because the Kalenjin community in this case should not be divided. They should all go with one person, one kingpin, and none other than Deputy President then, William Samoei Ruto. So, at the end of it all, when Azimio became Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, they withdrew one of the powerful politicians in the Kalenjin community to safeguard the interest of the Kalenjins. So Raila Odinga was left with 2 people who were from the beginning the crafting and the creation of the then president Uhuru Kenyatta. One is Kalonzo Musyoka. Why? Kalonzo Musyoka was preparing to become the president of this republic, not in 2022, but he wanted at least by 2027, when Raila Odinga's age did not allow him to contest any political party or any political position, when his age will not be allowing him to convince people to follow him again after losing for the 5th time, then we needed one person who could rise against Raila Odinga and sit in the position of Raila Odinga. And that someone looked like Kalonzo Musyoka was too good for that. And so Kalonzo Musyoka had to be dragged into Azimio so that for him to be competitive enough in 2027, probably in 2032, he will be in the opposition to criticize the government so that by the time we get to the next election after 2022 laws, he will be one of the most powerful candidates in that election. And that is one of the ways of making him a possible president in this republic if he will ever make it to that position. But that is not important. What is important is that Kalonzo Musyoka is a senior counsel, Martha Karua is a senior counsel. And these are 2 people who are brought very close to Raila Odinga. Kalonzo Musyoka as the coalition's third powerful as the prime minister, and then Martha Karua as the coalition's second most powerful as the deputy president if Azimio was to win. And so in the times of after loss, going to the Supreme Court, in the times of acting, these 2 people were very important in making the decisions on what next after we lost, what next after the Supreme Court loss, and what next, what do we do after here? So as senior counsel, everything had to happen in terms of according to the law. The constitution had to be followed to the letter. And anything that was about to outdo the constitution or to overturn the constitution had to be overturned even before it had to be put into writing. So these were like guards to cool Raila Odinga down from his obvious behaviors of not accepting election and going to the Supreme Court, and after Supreme Court mobilizing the youths, the Luos, and those who follow the Raila's presidency dream into violence. And so to stop them, Raila Odinga was surrounded by Kalonzo Musyoka. You say we want to go to Supreme Court to remove those judges who made that judgment, and Kalonzo is here telling you that articles, this and this, subsection, this and this, says that no, you cannot get to that position. The ICC will be on us. Now remember, some of you may start telling me that Kalonzo Musyoka was there in 2007 and 2013 when the violence was being held. But just remember, the only time and when Raila Odinga seemed uncontrollable and he forced that he must be sworn in as the people's president, Kalonzo was a senior counsel and a senior lawyer in the country and in Africa. He never went to that swearing in ceremony. It is not that he was not invited. It is not that he did not have security. It is not that he did not know that if they went there, they would get something in return. The only thing that stopped Kalonzo Musyoka is the fact that that was unconstitutional, and he swore as a lawyer to safeguard and protect that same constitution that he was about to overturn. And so this one also, Kalonzo was put so close, and all the other who have been historically close to Raila Odinga, like James Orengo, Otiende Amolo, and other senior lawyers, were put aside. They were told, go and campaign. We are here, we are looking at this. And that is how Raila lost an election. And that is how Raila found himself with two brilliant minds that were strategically placed there by President Uhuru Kenyatta, according to my understanding, to tame him each and every time he thinks about breaking the constitution or going against the constitution. So, according to me, the fear of ICC was not in the spirit of Raila Odinga. Remember, Raila Odinga has been involved in very many violent situations. He has been involved in very many elections. 5 of them, he has been campaigning and running for presidency and losing and mobilizing youths and people to protest. And he never feared the ICC. The ICC is not just new, just this time. So I think it is not that Raila Odinga has been asleep and now he thinks that the ICC came 2 years ago. The ICC has been there from the first time Raila Odinga started running. So he did not fear the ICC. It is only that the soldiers that were placed there to surround him would show him the reality. And because they were majority, the 3 big principles, actually say 4, President Uhuru, Kalonzo, and Karua on one side, and then Raila alone as a person who can protest. All the others fearing the constitutional, going against the constitution and fearing what comes next after failing to obey the constitution. So 1 man against 3. I don't know whether I'm making any point. I don't know whether somebody is understanding. Anyway, that's my opinion, that Raila Odinga does not fear ICC, and he did not fear, and he has never feared ICC. And this is not the first time Raila Odinga could fear the ICC. It is only that those who surrounded him and those who were strategically put there to show him the reality that we must move on by the previous administration under the disguise of we support you, but in the spirit of a long con, actually wanted to drive Raila into that corner as he retires in politics. But that's only my opinion as Wilson Kimani, the host for Kim Explains. I'd really want to hear your opinion in the comment section. Tell us how you think about this. Do you think it is an extension of a long con? Or do you think it is just a mere coincidence that Raila Odinga has just woken up and realized there is ICC and he feared, all of a sudden he started fearing? But before you comment, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Give it a like. Thank you so much. Have a